Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. This time we're taking a look at a paper called Der Kompromiss der Wirtschaftssystem.
Which translates to...
Yeah. The Compromise of Economic Systems.
Catchy title.
Right. But you know what's even more catchy is the author's pen name.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear it.
Political Ferret.
I like it.
I know, right? And the paper itself, it dives into this really interesting attempt to find, like, a middle ground, between capitalism and socialism.
Ah, the age-old debate.
Exactly. And I'm telling you, some of Political Ferret's conclusions are, let's just say they might ruffle a few feathers.
I'm intrigued already.
You and me both. What I found really striking was how the author doesn't just, skim the surface.
Right.
He really digs deep into those inherent tensions within each system.
Yeah, like with capitalism, he doesn't shy away from pointing out the potential downsides.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what happens to those who can't offer anything useful in a purely market-driven system?
Exactly. And it's not like he's giving socialism a free pass either.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
He brings up some, let's call them uncomfortable truths about how socialist systems, at least in practice, they can lead to these huge bloated bureaucracies.
The red tape nightmare.
Exactly. And he argues that it can, disincentivize individual effort. The whole idea of from each according to his ability to each according to his needs sounds great in theory, but
human nature often throws a wrench in the works.
Yeah, like you said. And Political Ferret really digs into that. He argues that the
what?
The temptation to take more than you contribute can, really undermine the whole system.
Oh, absolutely.
And the more you rely on, a central authority to enforce fairness, the more you risk. Stifling innovation and personal initiative.
It's a delicate balancing act, that's for sure.
So we've got capitalism with the potential to leave some people behind and socialism potentially getting bogged down in bureaucracy. Where does Political Ferret go from here? I mean, he's got to have some kind of solution, right?
Oh, he does. And it's a pretty radical one. He calls it a nested system.
Okay, a nested system.
Yeah, imagine this. A really minimal government. Basically, their main job is enforcing contracts and maintaining a stable environment for free exchange.
Like setting the ground rules, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. A bare bones foundation.
Okay, I'm following so far. But how does this nested system solve the whole capitalism versus socialism dilemma?
Well, here's where it gets interesting. Within this framework, people would be free to enter into all sorts of social contracts.
Social contracts, okay.
Including, wait for it, socialist ones.
Whoa! So you could have communities that prioritize, communal ownership and resource sharing existing right alongside others that are all about individual property rights and free markets.
Exactly. It's like choosing your own mini society.
Like a buffet of ideologies. I love it.
Political Ferret thinks this model has a lot going for it.
Like what?
Well, first off, individual choice. You're not locked into one system. Second, competition. Different social contract providers would have to constantly innovate and improve to attract members.
It's like applying market principles to societal models themselves. Survival of the fittest, but for ideologies.
Exactly. And third, flexibility. If a social contract isn't working, it can be modified, tweaked, or even completely replaced. Way easier than trying to overhaul a whole nation state.
I mean, it all sounds pretty utopian so far.
Right.
But I have a feeling there's a catch.
You always do.
Political Ferret wouldn't be much of a commentator if he didn't throw in a curveball.
You're absolutely right. There's a catch, a big one. The catch is this nested system might not work for people who really believe in pure socialism.
Really? Why not? I mean, it seems like everyone wins. Socialists get their little socialist communities. Capitalists keep their free markets.
Well, Political Ferret argues that it comes down to the givers in society.
Givers.
Yeah, the people who create more wealth than they consume, the ones who drive the economy, whether it's capitalist or socialist.
So you're saying you need people producing more than they use for there to be anything to share or invest.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. Political Ferret says these givers, they probably wouldn't choose to be in a system where their extra wealth is redistributed without their say-so.
So the very people a socialist system needs, they wouldn't want to be a part of it. That's a bold statement.
It is, and it leads him to say there's a built-in tension in the socialist ideal.
How so?
He argues that pure socialist systems, at least how they actually work out, they tend to benefit the people who are good at running the bureaucracy, not the people creating wealth.
Wait, hold on. Are we saying all socialists are just power-hungry bureaucrats? That seems a little harsh. I know plenty of people who call themselves socialists and they're all about social justice and equality. They really believe in it.
Right, of course, we can't just lump everyone together. Political Ferret isn't saying that, but his point is, and it's a good one to think about, is that the way a purely socialist system is set up, it kind of attracts certain types of people to the top.
So even if everyone starts with the best intentions, a system meant to be all about equality, it could end up giving all the power to people who know how to play the system. It's like a scary thought.
It does make you think, and this leads Political Ferret to his backup plan.
Right.
Parallel systems.
Parallel systems, what's that?
Basically, different economic systems in different countries.
So what we have now, different countries with different economies and governments.
Yeah, kind of like choosing your own adventure, but with much higher stakes.
Makes sense. We've seen how just speaking the same language doesn't make a country united. Look at Belgium, the Flemish, and the Walloons. Totally different.
Exactly. Political Ferret says countries are becoming more and more about sharing the same ideas, not just language or culture.
He uses the United States as an example, built on individual freedom, and the Soviet Union, all about Marxism.
Right, nation states as testing grounds for different ideologies.
Okay, so we've got our nested system, which might be a tough sell for some, and our parallel systems, which we already have, but has its own problems.
Right.
What's Political Ferret's take on all this? Does he have a favorite?
Well, he doesn't give us a simple answer, but he does point out a big issue with this Plan B, the world of separate systems.
So what's the big problem with parallel systems? Is it just that different countries have different rules?
It's more than that. Think about it. You're born into a system. Maybe you grow up and realize it doesn't fit your values. But just picking up and moving to a country that's a better match, that's not so simple.
Yeah, immigration is tough. Visas, finding a job, it's a whole thing.
Exactly. So Political Ferret is saying with parallel systems, your choices are limited. You might be stuck.
Stuck with a system you don't believe in. Kind of like being trapped in a subscription box you never ordered.
Ooh, I like that analogy. And that's really the point Political Ferret is making, right? If we're locked into these systems, what does it mean for freedom, for opportunity?
Big question. So no easy answers from Political Ferret, but he does seem to be saying choosing your own social contract, that nested system idea, it depends on something. What is it?
It all comes back to the givers, the ones who create more wealth than they use. Political Ferret argues that if they're not willing to participate, the whole nested system falls apart.
Right, you can't have sharing or exchange, whether it's capitalist or socialist, if there's nothing to share or exchange.
Exactly. And Political Ferret leaves us with one last thought, kind of a controversial one. He says this whole idea of givers not wanting their wealth redistributed without consent, it tells us something important about who really benefits from pure socialism.
Who does he think benefits?
He doesn't say it outright, but he hints that it's not the people creating all the wealth, the innovators, the entrepreneurs.
So it's not about making the wealth, it's about who controls it. That's kind of a power shift, isn't it? From the makers to the managers.
I think that's a really good way to put it. And Political Ferret wants us to think about that. When we look at different ways of organizing society, who are they really serving?
Well, there you have it, folks. A deep dive into the compromise of economic systems, courtesy of Political Ferret. We covered capitalism, socialism, this idea of a nested system where you choose your own social contract, and even the world we live in now with different systems in different countries.
It was quite a journey. Political Ferret really made us think not just about how these systems work, but about human nature, power, and who benefits in the end.
Absolutely. I think the big takeaway here is this. No system is perfect. They all have their pluses and minuses. And the decisions we make, individually and as a society, they really matter. They shape how these systems work and who comes out ahead.
Well said. The important thing is to stay informed, have those tough conversations, and never stop questioning.
So one last thing for you to ponder as you head back to your busy lives. What makes you contribute to society? Is it the chance to get ahead, a sense of duty, the drive to create something new? Maybe it's all of those things. Keep that in mind as you navigate this complex world of economics and politics. Until next time, happy deep diving.